Masks have become a shield and a statement in the global battle we are waging against the COVID-19 pandemic. So when two-thirds of your face is covered and staying at home and avoiding public outings and physical contact are the norm, what does it do to the multi-billion-dollar beauty and fashion business? And even if these are temporary, will the massive disruption that business has experienced result in a rethink of the basics? That's the deep dive we are going to make today on the Media Dialogues. And who better to go to for insights on what all this means for building and marketing beauty and fashion brands than Falguni Nayar. She's the founder and CEO of Nykaa. The multi-brand retailer, as you may know, started in 2012 as an e-commerce offering but soon became an omni-channel retailer with 69 stores across India today. Falguni, thank you for making time for us.
Yeah, it's really a pleasure is ours, Anuradha. It's good to chat with you.
Let me start by getting you to weigh in on what you think are the big, massive changes that you will see or we will see even when COVID-19 is behind us as a result of this experience that we are undergoing today.
Anuradha, I think Nykaa was on really a very fast pace of growth, in February, if I may say so. And suddenly COVID came upon us on around mid-Feb, if you look at it from physical store perspective. And e-commerce also came to a complete shutdown in the last 10 days. And the shutdown was so complete so quickly that even the packages that were dispatched from our warehouses were lying all over the country, not delivered.
Wow.
So it was a big wake-up call for someone like us who used to think we were earlier growing at 100% year on year.
Yes.
This year we said we'll be growing at 60% year on year. And with that kind of fast pace of growth, to suddenly be hit with a scenario of zero revenue. But so I think April looked very scary. And of course, I have to say that I was involved in listening to the government in terms of what they wanted to do for the economy. And I have to say that government showed very early determination to keep the supply chain in the country going. What I saw was that there was a very good support to e-commerce as a business. They saw it as a way to continue the wheels of supply chain in the country flowing.
Running, yes.
And they really supported that effort. And with that, and the e-commerce companies and the courier partners who support us, really living up to the difficult times. Those are the times people are afraid to go out.
Mm-hmm.
But even these company workers became like frontline workers who were ready to go into their warehouses and ready to go and do the tough work that it took to deliver these products to the customers. So with that, what we saw that throughout the COVID period, in April itself, we were back to 35% of business as usual with only focus on essentials.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we had to pivot and only sell essentials on our website.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
By June, we are back to 93% of business as usual. So I think the business has come back in a big way.
What would you identify as some of the key changes that may be here to stay even when the pandemic is behind us? Is there anything like that you can sense at this point of time?
At consumer level, what we saw is that the consumer demand for what we call as personal care, but at certain level, including skincare and hair care, is very robust, and it has gained in market share over makeup.
Yes.
In makeup also, the demand is more focused on nails and eyes compared to face and lips. Both lips and face were very big categories for makeup.
Yes.
So there is some amount of demand constraint there, but I think even there we are seeing now demand coming back, in a small way. But there are no big weddings happening, there are no big parties happening, so there would be some implications. However, there were many other positives also. Like at Nykaa, we saw that consumers have embraced more premium products.
Yes.
And the percentage share of our luxury product has grown by, it's grown by a third, so we've seen a big growth.
What would you attribute this premiumization or this tendency to want to move towards luxury products or increasing sales of that? Is there any analysis of why that may be?
I think it's just indulgence. I think at some level, consumers are sitting at home, they're saving money in certain pockets. And then that they want to spend in certain different areas, and their own personal care and personal indulgence are both really going up, is what we feel.
Most consumer goods companies are reporting the fact that there is a clear shift in priority to health and hygiene when it comes to their products. You're saying that at Nykaa you've seen, skin care, hair care, anything to do with personal care and hygiene perhaps, improve in terms of interest and sales. Is this something that is here to stay?
We've introduced a number of products in the essentials category like sanitizers, and so I think that is more to do with, we wanted to meet with customers' immediate needs.
Yes.
I mean, they see Nykaa as a destination to buy their needs, and we wanted to come in and serve their needs. So it's from that perspective. We do believe that natural products relating to skin and hair care are going to be on the rise. But yeah, I think makeup also should come back. For us as e-commerce, makeup is also growing and it's benefiting from shift away from physical retail to e-commerce.
Yes.
So we are not seeing much headwinds in our makeup category, but as a category shift, clearly there is a shift towards hair, skin, and personal care.
What impact does this have on your plans to roll out more stores? Because you're talking at a little like short of 70 today across India, and most retailers, I was speaking to Fab India on the show, everybody's reconsidering store rollout. So is that something that Nykaa is also experiencing?
I think malls bore the brunt, and as a result, even customers are not that keen to go out into physical stores to shop, and there is a clear shift to e-commerce. Omni-channel players like us, Nykaa, are beneficiaries because I don't know, but if you notice, but we actually converted our stores into hyper-local deliveries. So we had 70 stores. We only shut one during this time. So we had 69 stores. And of these 69 stores, almost half of them are in smaller towns. And when there were challenges to delivering into far-fetched areas like Guwahati and Bhubaneswar and Jammu, where our stores are, Bareilly, we decided to use our store inventory to fulfill customer demand in the nearby pin codes. So that was a big plus for us. And with that, if you look at July, Nykaa is back. Even in the store sales, we are back to almost 90% of our business as usual. We define February as business as usual. And that was because we did hyperlocal. And this was possible because Nykaa has always added the customers that they acquire in the store into the e-commerce database. We work very hard, so we convince our customers to be in our e-commerce database. And through that process, we could easily fulfill their needs during the downturn. So as a multi-brand retailer, our commitment to roll out stores remains.
This commitment to roll out physical stores, even while it remains, will the pace slow down?
Instead of saying that the pace will slow down, I will just say my guidance to my team is that we don't need to rush to any deadline. So let's take one thing at a time and let's do what is right. So when for someone like us, we have enough data and information on the ground to see what's going on, because we are not going blind. We already have 70 stores and we know what stores are working, which regions are working, because all throughout India, every geography is behaving differently.
Right.
Delhi is behaving very differently than Bombay in the COVID environment. In Delhi, a lot of things are back to normal. Slowly, a lot of things are opening up. And it's very varied. It can be different by cities,
Yes.
Thane and Pune and, New Bombay are behaving differently than many other cities. And some of the cities like Bhubaneswar and Guwahati, which were perfectly fine in the beginning, have since then retracted. So I think each city is behaving very differently from consumption perspective. But the advantage e-commerce companies have is that they have information and data, and in some ways they have insight into consumers' mind,
Yes, in fact.
But I do believe that the demand will come back because Indian consumers are very young and they are not going to let this come in the way of, how they look at their lifestyle going forward.
So you see demand come back, and you see fashion play a big role in Nykaa's sales going forward, isn't it?
Our fashion business grew 6.5 times last year because it was on a small base. In fashion, what we saw was that, yes, fashion industry is suffering, and especially in physical retail.
Yes.
But many of them had less than 10% on e-commerce, and they were selling only the old labels. I mean, in the sense, not the new launches.
Yes.
And what's changed now is that they've become aware that they need to cultivate the e-commerce as a channel. And today, a lot of brands are ready to go online with us, and many of them are offering their new collections.
And you see that as a direct result of the COVID-19 lockdown?
Of course, yeah, it's a direct result because a lot of fashion fashion somehow relied a lot on stores, and they treated stores as brand building, and they had huge store proliferation.
Yes.
Like many fashion companies have more than 100, 200 stores, 300 stores. So that's a large number of stores to support in this current negative environment. And while footfalls are coming back, if they are at 30% level, 25 to 30% level, there's a long way to go. And malls and landlords have been, to a certain extent, supportive in terms of rentals,
Yes.
but they can't support forever. So I think there are some calls to be made.
You mentioned how when people come into stores at considerable effort but consistent effort, you try and ensure that they get their details or their data gets captured in your e-commerce offering as well. What is the impact on customer acquisition at this time?
Cost of acquiring customer online has come down tremendously. It's because you see e-commerce, everyone's become a believer in e-commerce,
Yes.
Earlier e-commerce was a thing for youngsters, the millennials, in the age group of 18 to 35 were big believers in e-commerce, and most of the older people thought, oh, we like to buy in the physical retail, we don't know how to use the app or whatever. And I think that has totally changed. What e-commerce companies are experiencing is that the cost of customer acquisition has come down. And because of that, our customer acquisition and April and May were a little different. No one knew what was going to happen in the
Sure.
world, and people were a bit conservative. But starting June, our customer acquisition is back at its pre-COVID pace. So we are acquiring more customers. Similar pace that we were doing in February, or you can say Jan and February. And customer acquisition costs have come down.
What is the role that you see marketing play when it comes to brand building? Because you have now, a track record of using the internet, digital media, social media, creating communities. Does that change? Obviously that gets a fillip because of what we are experiencing today. But going forward, do you see these as the mainstay of the brand building effort at Nykaa?
Of course. So we have always been a digital marketeer, and almost at one point in early part of our journey, about 100% of our marketing was only digital. And then slowly we brought about 10% mix of non-digital, and it was 90% was digital, what we call as performance marketing,
Yes.
through various channels, both organic, inorganic, all of it. So I think that's what Nykaa has been strong at. And on the non-digital, I would say that we reduced it for a few months, but I think we may restart it, because again, even there's an interesting opportunity to build brands, as the cost of customer acquisition, even on those channels, is going down.
What has been the most challenging when you look at all the various different functions involved in keeping this business going at this point of time? Has operations been the most challenging?
Yeah, right at the beginning of the lockdown, operation was the most challenging, because government gave us permission to have 10 employees in each of our warehouses. And those were big challenges. And slowly we had to coax more employees to come in, because they were very scared about COVID in
Yes.
those early days. Right in the beginning, even some of our managers, store managers, warehouse managers, when they used to go out to get to open their warehouses, they were facing police and local area angst. People used to not want them to start their warehouses. So I think those were difficult days for operations, and our operations has really worked very hard, whether be it our warehouse or store operation. I think those have been our frontline warriors.
Right. Have there been shortages because a lot of cosmetics, irrespective of what the brand is, are sourced or are manufactured in China? Did that result in shortages at any point?
I want to correct you that a lot of brands, in India, which are being sold in India, including Nykaa, a lot of supply chain is from Europe and not necessarily always from China. So dependence on China is not huge, unlike what most people believe. However, yes, there was a time when supply chains from all over the world were constrained, and I think every manufacturer in India also was being constrained, because they had trouble opening their factories or getting labor to come into their factories and stuff like that. But I must say that throughout the supply chain, whether be it for fashion, because we realized that, after at the end of lockdown 4, everybody made an effort to start all their plants or delivery centers or manufacturing. and people have worked very hard. And what I hear, including imports, everything is back on track. There was a time when even import clearances were delayed.
Yes.
But I think a lot of supply chain is coming back on track. And what we saw were short, limited time issues. And you will see everything come back to normal on supply side.
Let's talk a little bit about Nykaa Men, because here you have built a brand which is about putting the woman and the woman's needs, at front and center and under the spotlight. How do you make this brand pivot towards men and the offering for men's grooming products?
We always sold men's products on our website, but it talks, like you said, more to women, and 85% of our customers were women. And all the men's products and offerings were getting hidden in that big website, which was so talking to women. So we realized that we needed, and anecdotally, we met a lot of men who said they wanted to learn more about, which shampoo to use, or how to deal with their skincare issues, or, they wanted to learn the way women were very keen to learn at one stage. So we realized that the market was ripe for an offering which would be focused on men's grooming needs, but it needed to be handled in a similar way, the way we had handled beauty for women. So we decided to build a separate app. We decided to build a separate social media handle that talks to men and meets with their requirement. And at the moment, the assortment on the men's website is going with a focus to offer what men needs and how men buy. Women buy very differently than men buy. So for example, in spite of having mainly women as our customer, we decided to build a separate website for fashion from beauty website. I mean, especially the app.
Yes.
Because we believe that women buy fashion very differently than how they buy beauty. Beauty is more search-led, fashion is more discovery-led, and we wanted to give them a great experience. On the men's side, similarly, I think men like to buy everything under one roof, their daily needs under one roof. So we are going to have a little different experience for men. And we believe that even that is being built out very quickly, because at the moment there is an opportunity on that side where men are looking to learn and consume more of what we call as personal care and grooming.
Falguni, you closed the last year by winning a lot of awards for the success you've created at Nykaa. When you look at that period from where you are at today and the kind of challenges that have been faced, how do you see that impacting all the metrics that you had ticked as having been successful on? How do you see that getting affected?
You know that Nykaa has always been strong on financials and the way we manage our business. So I think we changed our reporting from IGAP to Ind AS at the end of last year. So there'll be some implication of that. There will be restating. But we are clearly profitable. We were profitable in month of June and July itself. So we believe that this year will be a profitable year for Nykaa, not just at the EBITDA level, but at profit level, if all goes well. Though it's hard to, one has to assume that COVID won't come back in a big negative way.
Yes.
So that is the underlying assumption. But I think we remain optimistic about financial aspect of our business. But what I'm really proud of is the kind of organization that we've become. So we as an organization are very proud of the fact that we did not cut a single job during this downturn. We did not even cut the salaries. We supported the entire workforce instead of trying to look at, this particular team is not doing much. So I think we treated it as a team effort. And as far as the team was, as far as the overall business was going in the right direction, we were happy to support the team. If the overall business doesn't go in the right direction, then even if you want to do that, you may not be able to do that. But I think we looked at it more as a one Nykaa. We keep talking about culture of one Nykaa and openness culture, rather than breaking it up into different this thing. Another thing is we also always wanted to work for all our stakeholders, and I think Nykaa showed that during this. So I, both the employees of Nykaa donated 1 day salary, as well as the founders matched it up with what the employee contribution was towards contributing to PM Care funds. And also throughout the period, we kept donating to the neighborhoods. We felt good about doing our bit for social causes. Because I think these are very difficult times and we have to be very open about that. It's not only about making money, it's about being a responsible citizen and a corporation. And I think what I'm proud of is that.
Falguni, you're talking about the purpose that this experience has imbued the brand and the organization with. One final question: if you were to look back at some things that have changed as a result of this, and that change is here to stay, what would they be?
Due to the impact of COVID on people's psychology and how they are living their lives, a lot has changed. And I would like to summarize a few of the things. I really think those are positive changes for our business, and I hope they are here to stay, though I can't be sure. So, the first and foremost, we saw that there is a greater acceptance of digital payments. And there was a time when we were doing 100% through prepaid instead of cash on delivery, which is something that has plagued the e-commerce industry in India. And at one point, we were doing 100% of our business on prepaid basis. Even now, we are running at about 60-65% on prepaid, which is a huge change from before. It's almost 50% improvement from before.
Right.
And Nykaa's had a higher percentage of prepaid than others in the industry. So that was a big change. We also saw the average order value go up because consumers are becoming more sure about e-commerce deliveries. So we have seen all the AOVs go up by almost 40, 50, 60% throughout our various platforms. So the average order values have increased, which is again good for the industry because the shipping costs and all were very painful, The third big change we saw was, like I told you, the premium products is what customers are embracing. They really are very conscious about everything. They become health conscious, like you said. So they're very conscious about what they put on their face, what they use as a soap. So I mean, they're very conscious about what they are using across the board, and there's more attention, to their own lifestyle. They're not running around from commuting or things. So there's more attention and time to look after themselves. Personalization is here to stay. People like us are using far more personalization, and we are using, like I told you, hyperlocal, and omnichannel has really come of age. Overall, it's been a good directionally, it's been a good move for e-commerce as a business, and even for physical retail. If you're not bogged down by traditional way of doing things, and if you actually have embraced technology, then there is just sky's the limit for what lies for you in future. Like as a small example, in the first 1 month when our store staff was not at all operational, we actually have an app, we call it Mindtickle app, and we use it to educate our store staff. And we use the entire 6-8 week period to educate them on all our brands. And also when our staff comes back now into the store, which they've started coming over the last 2 months, they are more further educated on brands and customer problems and their concerns and everything.
Right. Falguni, thank you very much for joining us. Stay safe. I wish you and the entire team at Nykaa all the very best.
Thank you, Anuradha. Thank you for giving an opportunity to chat with you. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you very much for watching. We'll be back again with another conversation, so do look out for that. And in the meantime, stay tuned to CNBC TV 18.